Hi there, I'm Doreen Sebben, and I'm heading up the Solutions Division of Able-One, and I wanted to welcome everybody to our podcast. With me today, I'm very excited to introduce Rad Dockery. He's our Director of Digital Transformation, and we're going to have just a dialogue about what we're seeing out there and how we're helping our clients move forward on this journey. Rad, how are you today?
Not too bad, Doreen. How are you doing?
Good.
Good.
So I have been reading a lot of studies, and there's all kinds of numbers and statistics out there. But the one that really caught my mind was caught my attention. Sorry, was the one that I read about the Globe and Mail. It was actually a global study. I think it was about 4,000 executives, line of business executives, some ITs, and it spanned a lot of industries and across about 16 developed countries. So Canada was one of those. And we scored 13 out of 16. I was shocked. What do you attest to us being laggards like that? I was very, very surprised to see us on that end of the pendulum.
First of all, 13 out of 16. Let's hope the math was incorrect, because that's embarrassing.
It is.
No, from that article, I know the article you're referring to. A couple of things were noted in that article. I think some of the issues. Number one is our competitiveness as a country, period. So Canada tends to lack on the bottom of productivity in general, anyhow. And our education system was also mentioned in there as well. We're not doing a good enough job of taking young people and exposing them to the digital technologies of tomorrow. So young people are using smartphones. We're not teaching them how to use the smartphone behind the scenes. How do you code it? So I believe the Premier was looking at some options to revamp the education system. And you know what? Another thing Canada, the problem is in Canada as well is that, while we depend on trade, we are a trading nation, particularly with the United States of America, Canada tends to lag in technology innovation in general. Think about how many venture capital companies in Canada have grown to be multi-billion-dollar companies versus Silicon Valley.
Right.
Or versus what you're seeing come out of Bangalore, India. Tell me how many Canadian companies are worldwide powerhouse brands. GM's not a Canadian brand. If you look at the power brands in the world, how many are Canadian? Maybe one if you're lucky. And that was BlackBerry before what happened to them. So Canada itself, outside of the natural resources sector, we haven't really invested a lot in becoming a cutting-edge technology country or a province of Ontario. Now steps are being taken, obviously. A lot more venture capitals coming into the Toronto area, et cetera, and fintechs are growing. But that report really highlighted that Canada's just not doing enough. And in a digital economy where things could change at a dime, if we're 13 out of 16, that's a big trouble. Big trouble for our future GDP and growth in this country. So it is concerning, and I think everyone in this country should take that report quite seriously.
So you highlighted a few things. I mean, different industries, and so the financial sector obviously always takes the lead, and we've got some very good backing behind our banking systems in terms of thought leaders and driving the business. Based on the conversations that you're having, are there any industries that are maybe leading the game? So if we are behind in Canada, we get it, right? But who of the laggards are starting to show some progress or seeing the light? What industries would you say?
It's funny because the financial sector, we say, yeah, they're leading it. But if you read the annual reports from CIBC, BMO, Scotiabank last year, they're not. They are worried. The fintechs really worried them. So Royal Bank announced over $1 billion looking at digital transformation over the next 5 to 6 years. National Bank laid off 3,000 people to deal with digital transformation. They don't know what to do. So the banking sector, who you would hope would lead this, has had some issues, but they're starting to get better. As well, you're seeing the fintechs, though, are taking advantage of. So you have fintechs up here who are in insurance, ways to do banking without ever going to a bank. You got some of these credit card processors, mobile payment processors in Canada who are really pushing the edge now, are bringing new innovation to the marketplace and pushing the banks to respond. Because the millennials today are not interested in going to a branch. To say, give me a checking account. Give me this, give me that. They want to do it all online via their phone. So you're seeing some of these new fintechs in Canada really do well. Another area you're going to see some excitement is transportation. The airports, for instance, Pearson Airport spends a lot of money on digital transformation, how to better communicate with airlines, other airlines. And because of the new transportation system, the new Union line, and now you heard yesterday a brand new line coming potentially with Union Station being one hub and another hub being Pearson Airport. How do you bring technologies together? So you're seeing transportation as well in the area of the taxi industry. They're starting to respond to Uber. They're building new apps. And transportation in the sense of the B2B transportation. So you're seeing the trucking companies. How do I track my trucks? How do I change direction of my trucks versus traffic? How do I check inventory on my trucks in real time and dealing with that as well? So you're starting to see, the transportation industry tends to be a laggard in technology quite a bit, really step it up. And some of the transit systems themselves are looking at new things such as Internet of Things and digital technology to better track buses, bus loads, and maybe reroute a bus based on traffic flow or based on where passengers are at a particular bus stop. So you're starting to see some Canadian companies in those industries really take leadership on digital transformation.
So that's great. I mean, you and I have been on a number of client calls together. And at the end of the day, we typically are more comfortable with the CIO because those are the typical relationships. But more and more as a team, we're starting to get the message across to everybody else that you need to talk to the business. There's business drivers here. And so what can the lines of business do in all of this?
Well, I think number one is look at your business for what it is or what you want it to be. So for companies who are publicly traded, you open up the annual report, they tell you what their vision is. Then they tell you, we're trying to do X, Y, Z in a marketplace. Keep that vision. The question is, how are you going to enable it quicker, faster, more efficiently, and faster than the next competitor that you see today, much less what a competitor you do not see today. So the line of business has to start looking at IT as an enabler to help accelerate a business strategy. You and I talk to a lot of IT departments, and they get beat up. My email's not working. Storage is not working. How come my BlackBerry doesn't work? How come this doesn't work? How come I don't have this? I want this, I want this, I want that. And they're always in a mode of just trying to keep the lights on.
Right.
If email crashes, you have the IT manager the worst job in the world. And it may not be his or her fault. So a lot of us has to view technology as an enabler to get things done. More than just saying, it's technology, make sure it works. And treat IT as a partner moving forward. Because IT is making sure all your databases work, make sure all your information's there. How do you extract that now to make better business decisions? That's what you should be asking IT to do. And instead of telling IT, hire 15, 17 developers to develop a program for me. No, IT should be trying to figure out how to develop a new application that helps your industry grow and grow more efficiently. Another thing businesses should start doing as well is actually seek honest employee feedback. Not the surveys that go out that's probably just check off because they don't want to be fired or just check off to make it look good or not, but get real employee feedbacks. For example, and you and I have seen this visiting a couple of clients, you go to the warehouses of these customers and you see these great systems and very automated warehouse systems. It's great. They could order the smallest thing and it gets to the right part of the warehouse to the right truck in time. It's fantastic. But we looked at the screens. The screens were like MS-DOS 3.1. Green screens, right? Yeah. These are screens that you can't touch anything. You have to actually type something in. And you and I turned to one of the executives and said, why don't you make that a nice web screen? He goes, they don't need that. They're happy with it. But then when you go into the parking lot, no one's pulling out an Android phone with a green screen.
That's right.
No one's going home and saying, hey, let me turn on my green screen computer and browse the web today.
They got their thumbs going, they got colors, right. They got all kinds of dynamics, and at work, they've got a green screen.
And it's just not that young people don't want this. The fastest growing user of iPads are seniors. The fastest growing segment on Facebook is seniors.
That's right.
So this is not about saying it's just the young people want this, is a waste of time. If I'm productive on my smartphone, if these young people could send 500 WhatsApp messages to 50 friends in 2 minutes, they would like to have that same technology at work to do the same thing. So start looking at what's around you. And I would say, look in your own home. Look at what your kids are doing. Look at you. Because I'm pretty sure your smartphone's not running the right command line prompts to open up a browser on your phone. So look around you. Get employee feedback. That's the first thing. Number two, deal with your best customers and partners too. Ask them, how can we better serve you better? How can we be better? Get that honest feedback. Honest two-way feedback, and at the same time offer that feedback back to your partners and your as well, and say, hey, you could do to be better as well. And I think that's the first step. Is, I mean, selling technology, we sell technology for a living, but it really comes down to the same human value again. How can I better service you and better work with you in a better partnership for employees and your other stakeholders as well?
Yeah, so I agree with that. I mean, at the end of the day, digital transformation is all about, providing an awesome customer experience. And, people are trying to brand things and market and tether their customers to their brand. The employees play an important role there, for sure, because if they're happy and satisfied, then they wake up in the morning and they're going to work trying to make their clients happy, satisfied, which obviously drives the business. The other thing that I'm seeing is the whole piece about the organizational change. Like, everybody thinks it's just IT. And so line of business is involved, marketing, sales, manufacturing, the warehouse floor. And if I think back to an example when I was growing up, like in your face was Kodak, right? The Kodak moments, the Cube, the Insta camera, like everything that they did was innovative. They actually invented the digital camera. I was shocked to learn in 1975. Like, they were way ahead. So sometimes it's not good to be too ahead. So I kind of understand the Canadian deployment of waiting and seeing. But at the same time, it wasn't that they were too early. They didn't adapt to the changing market. And at that time, you could see your competitor, Fuji, and everybody else kind of showing up. And they didn't do anything inside the organization. And to this day, the Kodak moment is just a memory of the past for kind of our generation. My kids don't have a clue what Kodak is, okay? So besides, you talked about customers, you talked about employees and organizational changes that have to happen and adapt to this digital transformation. What about the leaders?
The leaders are the key. And I mean, we're in the Kitchener-Waterloo area, and I don't want to poke at them again. Everyone pokes them, but look at BlackBerry. But BlackBerry was the leader at first. At first, you accessed, it was a Motorola flip phone. And then they included text messaging. So the text messaging was pretty annoying. You hit 7 3 times to get a letter, right? And then they came up with some new smartphones like, what was it, 3Com. Right, so we all had our little 3Com devices.
Qualcomm too.
Yes.
Can we say labels? I don't know.
Yeah. So everyone had a Palm Pilot back then. You were cool. You had a Palm Pilot.
I had a brick. Did you have a brick?
No, my Palm Pilot was actually nice and
No,
slick.
I had a BlackBerry brick, like the first.
Yeah. So you had a Palm Pilot, but then you had to have a BlackBerry as well. You needed both.
Yeah.
So then BlackBerry figured out how to merge the two, and the world changed forever.
Yeah.
Right, especially in corporate world, everything changed for the rest of our lifetime. So BlackBerry was, they couldn't lose. And we saw that the CEOs of BlackBerry were focusing on trying to buy hockey teams, and they were the worldwide brand. And for us as Canadians, we had a lot of pride because, like I said, how many worldwide power brands do we have?
That's right.
This was RIM. BlackBerry was our thing. Anywhere in the world you went, I went to China, saw BlackBerries. I went to Africa, you saw BlackBerries. There's a sense of pride. That's a Canadian brand representing worldwide. But what eventually happened? Microsoft started coming up with new stuff. Wasn't doing that well. But when Apple came out, they were laughed at. Because Apple did, the iPod. They can't do a phone. It's Apple.
It's a fruit.
That's right. And Apple, as we know, had a lot of history where they had to transform. They had Mac, right? Then IBM took them down. They had to keep responding. So Apple's a great example of a company that keeps finding a way to innovate itself. And what eventually happened, the iPhone launched, and the rest is literally history. And then no one saw Google coming with Android. Nobody saw that one coming. No. I didn't see Google coming with Android. And now look where the market is today. Now, BlackBerry's now made some good adoptions as far as saying now they're going to be able to serve and manage Android and Apple devices in a corporate environment. But that bedrock they had is gone. That bedrock, no one gets what's I want to buy a BlackBerry tomorrow, and very few do. So that's an example where the leadership has to be, no matter, you're in leadership today, who's going to take you down tomorrow, or try to take you down tomorrow? Or what if they got ahead of Android ahead of time, say, you know what, Google, we're going to team up with you, and ahead of those type of issues as well. So you got to think ahead. And another example I'll give is a customer we have in Quebec who is in a university. And the IT didn't drive it. It was the leadership who said, we want students around the world to come and look at our school as a school they could study at. Now, I got to compete with millions of potential universities out there. Well, thousands, but your colleges, universities, training institutions. They leverage digital technology, API economy to speak multiple languages back to the website and give back that experience to someone, whether it be in India, whether it be in China, whether it be in Nigeria, whether they be anywhere in the world. And they've developed that as a way to help more students across different languages feel comfortable interacting with them. That came from the leadership, not from IT. In the RFP, it all came down from the Dean of Academic Studies. They were on calls. And people had to explain to them in English. They don't care about bits and bytes and programs. Right. How can I make an experience better for potential students and keep them here when they come here? Because a foreign student to us is worth double the amount in tuition. And Canada's population is not growing fast enough, so where am I going to get students from? That's business thinking. And for someone who's been in IT for 20 years, I'm not used to hearing that from a Dean of Academic Studies. But I said, that was impressive. And we were fortunate enough to win the RFP and we're now going out on the project. But that's forward thinking from a business. So business have to start thinking about, today, yesterday, but start thinking about that experience that you talked about. Mm-hmm. What's that experience I want to deliver? And learn from the other companies who have failed. Maybe not in your industry, but learn how they failed or learn how they fell down. Learn from it. And this is where, you mentioned the course you went on when that was Harvard training. Pick up a paper, read it. Example of a business that has to adapt. We talk about financial services. Well, today it came out. Goldman Sachs announced today they're getting rid of a bunch of traders and now using AI to do trades.
Wow.
Artificial intelligence. That's real. I mean, that is something that's real. So,
it's surreal, isn't it?
So you got these hotshot MBAs out there who are used to making $450,000 a year after they sell a bunch of funds now. You have an AI machine saying, I'll do it for you, like IBM's Watson. Right?
Yeah.
So the question becomes, where do those jobs come from now? And there's a book I recommend business leaders read from Alec Ross called The Industries of Tomorrow, Industries of the Future. He was a former advisor to the Secretary of State on technology issues. And he talks a lot about where technology is going, whether it be in robotics, digital transformation, cybersecurity, things about the future. So, I read a lot of books, and a lot of great business leaders say they're great because they read books.
Right.
They read what's going on out there. And the business has to say, here's my vision, here's what I understand, and go to their employees and say, here's what's going on. What do you see what's going on? Talk to the customer service rep on the phone who no one seems to care about the poor customer service rep. They hear all the complaints. Talk to the person if you're a company who does break fix, a mechanic shop. Talk to the mechanics. What do you see? Talk out there. And another example I'll give is BMW. Who's I think they're ranked number 7th or 8th of the most iconic brands in the world. They could sit on their laurels and say, well, we're making all this money, but they watch Tesla.
Sure they do.
No, they're not going to sit down and wait for Tesla to make a car that's going to take away all their market share. They start up something called a startup garage, where they're working with startups around the world to create new automotive digital technology that could be built in their cars one day. They're not sitting around and waiting. That's impressive. They don't have to do that. I mean, at first glance, they don't have to do that, but they don't want to get Tesla'd. So we talk about Ubered, but you might get Tesla'd because sure. Tesla could sell their cars without even making a car yet. The Tesla 3 sold about 500,000 already, and there's not one car has been made yet, and people got to wait 3 years for it. That's a problem if you're a BMW, Mercedes. And now for our customers here in Ontario, what if you're a supplier to BMW, Mercedes? What if you supply parts or components for GM and Chrysler, and you see that happening? What are you going to do? What are you waiting for? And then from a business standpoint as well, the recent U.S. election of a new president, he's talking about a potential trade war. Mm-hmm. Is your company, is your IT agile enough to switch and figure out how you can now sell those things to Mexico directly without being in the USA? Can you sell it to Brazil? Can you sell to the UK faster? Can you pivot to Asia fast enough with the right tools of the business process? And how can technology help enable that? That's the kind of leadership you need in the business world today. And that's what's required. And the companies who are doing it well, they'll follow their example. So, I would encourage any CEO, read up on what BMW is trying to do. Read up on what Mercedes is trying to do. I'm willing to bet for a lot of our customers we deal with, we met a couple already, mm-hmm. They're supplying them. And they got to figure out what are they going to do. You're going to wait till you shut down to a 30% tariff on your goods into the U.S., or you're going to take some action now?
And that's the key point, right? So we talked about some radical issues, radical examples of, Kodak being wiped out and BlackBerry kind of disappearing. the end of the day, there's all kinds of spectrums in terms of people getting Ubered on a small scale, medium, or large. So I think we've talked a lot about why we should transform. And we all agree that digital transformation is a journey. So again, if the Canadian companies are a little behind, it's not that big a deal. It's relative to, are we taking action, and what kind of action are we taking, and is the business engaged? So maybe we could summarize by talking a little bit about the journey. So I think we've talked a lot about why, and you've given some great examples. So, the next piece that I would say is, if we've answered the question why and we need to take action, what do we do and where do we start and how do we start would be kind of, what I'd like to understand and share with the folks.
That's a fundamental question because, especially in the IT world, you hear cloud. What does it mean? Security. What does it mean? Disaster recovery. What does it mean? So everything become a line on its own, and it overwhelms people. Let's be honest, including us as service providers, because we try to keep up, try to sell the right thing to the customers at all times. The first thing to do, it goes to what we discussed about having that feedback point internally. And this is, I think, where Able-One can help a lot of customers. Let's sit down with you and say, what are your employees, what do you believe you need to do to be better efficiently, period? To make your company work better, how to make processes work better. For you yourself, just think about for yourself. Any company says they're perfect is lying, because no one's perfect, obviously. Sure. None of us are, no company is. What can you do? Number one. Number two is to figure out, okay, so let's say you find out there's 5 things that you want to work on. Pick one. I pick a sub-segment of one. Pick a little section of one that can give you a quick win, a quick proof of concept, a quick proof point that this could work. An example. We're speaking to a customer now who said they're running 19 different type of applications. They got no way to manage all 19. They support multiple divisions, and everyone keeps making more demands of IT. But then someone came up and said, I'd like to have a mobile app. I want to start doing more things via mobile. And he's thinking, are you kidding me? I'm just trying to keep the lights on around here. I said to him, well, who wants it? Well, a couple of people in finance. Well, go to the CFO and ask the CFO, they would like access to mobile as well. Said yes. Let's do a small thing with them and see for the 3 or 4 people and see if we can mobile enable a process where they make their life easier. Simple thing. Didn't cost much money, simple. Said, yeah, this is something we could use. Okay, now let's slowly spread it across. So take a simple process. Take a simple first step and looking at something. This is where a partner like Able-One's very vital to our customers. We're just not gonna go in there and say, hey, here's technology, buy some license of this, buy some of that, and here you go. You have digital transformation tomorrow. We can't, based on what you and I just spoke about the last couple of minutes, is more than just that. Mm-hmm. It's a process, it's a journey. So Able-One's able to sit down and say, let's sit down and look at what are you doing today, what can you be doing tomorrow, and what's the bridge? A straightforward, simple bridge to take a look and say, can we help you today? And can we bring you to that point? So an example would be that we're talking about digital transformation and mobile and all this cool e-commerce stuff that's needed and really required. You and I spoke to a customer who said, digital transformation is great, but you know what? I have no disaster recovery plan. Well, yeah, you have a great website, but when I click order and your server crashes, I click order, I'm not ordering anything. That's not good. I mean, so it's kind of example. You create this great website, I hit a button and nothing works. If that happens, I'm going to leave. So digital transformation may be, I'm looking at all this stuff I need to do to transform, but my back-end fundamentals are wrong. Now, I coach basketball, and in basketball, you have a guy who could dunk. He could give the best dunks, he has the best dribbling skills. He's a show-off. Tell him to hit a free throw, he can't hit one. Tell him to hit a simple jumper from 18 feet out, he can't hit it. He doesn't make the team. Because most baskets in basketball are based on fundamentals. Do you know how to play defense? Can you have a basic shot? Do you know how to block out and rebound? So before you know how to do a 360 dunk, can you hit a jumper? Because no guy in the NBA today can't hit a jumper who's going to have a long career. Your business has to think the same way. Stop always trying to hit a home run.
Okay, so you know what? I need a soccer example because I'm a soccer mom and my basketball days are over.
Well, okay, so a soccer example. No, Ronaldo's the best at what he does. Ronaldo and Messi are the 2 best footballers or soccer players in the world, right?
Yeah.
Now, how did that happen? They wake up one day and say, Ronaldo said one day, wow, I'm the best player in the world today. There's a work ethic. But it was a process. I had to come there. Digital transformation is a process. If I want to be, maybe the next Apple in my industry, or the one's going to, change fundamentally how goods are shipped from my warehouse, I'm going to change a retail experience. I'm going to change an airport experience. I'm going to change a student experience. I'm going to change, any type of experience you could think about. What's my first step to get there? And CEOs and executives know this. They build a vision statement, but how do you get there? Able was able to work with the customers to figure out what's step one. And step one sometimes doesn't require any money. It requires a discussion. And I know we've been talking a lot because we're doing a lot of free assessments with customers. We half-day whiteboarding session. Let's sit down and figure out what you need to do to make your business work better for you, your employees, and your partners. That's the first step. There's no big technology presentation. If anyone comes into you and comes with a 52-page slideshow about how great my product is, throw them out. Because there's no shortage of great technology. There's a shortage of great people to apply technology to real business issues and challenges. That's what we're going to bring. So I'll say to anyone out there who's listening to this, you may have an AS400, you may have this server and this mobile device and this and this and that and that and that and this. Let's stop for a second and think about where do you want to be? And the question I ask everyone, business, IT, I ask them is one question. If cost or time frame were not a limitation, tell me what your ideal state would look like. And they tell you what your ideal state would be like. And I'll tell you, most customers will be surprised that we probably could ping off one or two of those things in a short window for you because no one actually showed you how to do or linked it to how you run a business. So step one is step back. Work with a partner who actually cares about your business and your people who work for your business and your customers. Work through that first. Then we'll get to the technology, what could be applied later. Because like the example we gave, it wasn't digital transformation. It was first getting your disaster recovery in place first. And that makes a lot of sense because now you can start to really unleash. We're talking to another customer who's talking about rip and replacing, a 15-year heritage of systems in there because someone told them to. That's not digital transformation. That's going to make someone a lot of money, but not you. It's going to cost you your job.
That's right.
Right? So digital transformation is about digitally transform. It doesn't mean, transform doesn't mean replace. It means transform. Take what you have and transform it. It's like somebody who, I have a friend of mine who lost 70 pounds over the last 18 months. That's a transformation. He's still who he is, but he transformed. We didn't rip and replace him, right? And say goodbye, buddy. Goodbye, sorry, but with a new version of you. He transformed himself. Right. A business has to transform. And that's what we're working on here today. And that's what we're focused on, helping you do that transformation to get from point A to your holy state.
All right. So, Rad, I really want to thank you for your time this afternoon. It was a great conversation about digital transformation. You obviously have a lot of examples to share, and you've got some wonderful experience. So I encourage folks listening to the podcast to take us up on our offer for a free whiteboarding session. This is a journey. There's no right answer going in, but together as a team, we can figure it out and make sure that you accelerate your company on this journey to success using digital transformation. Thanks again.